January 24th, 1989, 7:06 a.m., Florida State Prison. Outside the prison, people are cheering. They're waving signs. "Burn Bundy, burn," they read. Some wear t-shirts with his face on them. It's like a carnival. Except inside, at this very moment, a man is dying in the electric chair. 2,000 volts surge through his body. For 2 minutes straight. His name, Ted Bundy. His crime, at least 30 young women murdered. Probably more. Much more. But here's what's disturbing. What's truly terrifying about this story. Ted Bundy wasn't the creepy guy your mother warned you about. He was handsome, charming, educated. The kind of guy you'd bring home to meet your parents. He was a law student. He worked at a crisis hotline helping desperate people. He saved a child from drowning. And at night he became a monster. How could this be? How could a man who went to university in a suit during the day hunt young women like a predator at night? The answer is so disturbing that it still baffles psychologists today. Because Ted Bundy wasn't just a serial killer. He was a master of deception. Chameleon. Someone who perfectly understood how to manipulate people. And the worst part? His victims never realized it. Until it was too late. Let's rewind. Back to the childhood of a boy who learned that nothing in his life was real. Not even his own identity. November 24th, 1946. Burlington, Vermont. A home for unwed mothers. Louise Cowell is 22 years old. Unmarried. Pregnant. In the 1940s? That's social suicide. She gives birth to a boy. Theodore Robert Cowell. Ted. The family makes a decision. A decision that will shape the boy forever. They lie. Ted grows up with his grandparents in Philadelphia. Samuel and Eleanor Cowell. Strict Methodists. But here's the twist. They tell Ted they're his parents. His real mother, Louise, she's his big sister. Imagine that. Your entire childhood is a lie. Ted believes it. For years. Until at 14, he finds his birth certificate. Father, unknown. Mother, Louise Cowell. Everything he thought about himself shatters in that moment. But it gets worse. His grandfather Samuel, the man he thinks is his father, is a brutal racist. He beats women. He tortures animals. Ted grows up in a house full of violence. And then something happens that later makes every psychologist take notice. Ted is 3 years old. His 15-year-old Aunt Julia is sleeping. Sound asleep in her bed. She wakes up. Around her, carefully arranged, butcher knives, kitchen knives, all blades pointing at her. And at the foot of the bed stands little Ted. He's grinning. The aunt is shocked. The family dismisses it as a childish prank. But was it? In 1950, Louise moves with Ted to Tacoma, Washington. A fresh start. She meets John Bundy. He adopts Ted. They have 4 more children. From the outside, it looks like the perfect American family. But Ted never feels like he belongs. He refuses to call John his father. He's a loner in his own family. In high school, he's intelligent, a good student, but also unpredictable, moody, distant. He wants to join the basketball team, gets rejected. Baseball? Nobody wants him there either. So he starts stealing. Ski equipment, ski passes. He forges them. He's good at it. Very good. A teacher later remembers. Ted was always polite, always friendly, but it was like he was playing a role. Like there was nothing behind it. Nothing behind it. Like an empty shell. But this shell is learning. It observes. It studies how normal people behave. And it copies it perfectly. In 1965, Ted begins his studies. First University of Puget Sound. Then University of Washington. Asian Studies. Later psychology. He's charming. Handsome. His classmates like him. In 1967, he falls in love. A female student. Pretty. From a good family. Dark. Long hair. Parted in the middle. For Ted, she's perfect. But she breaks up with him. She finds him immature. Not ambitious enough. It destroys him. Later, investigators will recognize a pattern. All his victims look like her. Dark, long hair. parted in the middle, pretty, young. He kills her, again and again, symbolically, but it's not time yet. Ted still plays the nice student. In 1969, he meets Elizabeth Klopfer. She's a single mother. They fall in love. Elizabeth will later say, "He was perfect, loving, caring, the best man I'd ever met." She has no idea that the man she loves is already planning to hunt. But what exactly is he planning? And when does the charming student become a killer? January 1974, Seattle, Washington. Linda and Healy is 21 years old, a student. She lives in a shared apartment near the university. Popular, cheerful. She works as a radio host for ski reports. On the night of February 1st, she goes to sleep. Her roommates hear nothing unusual. The next morning, her bed is empty, but it looks like someone made it neatly. The blanket is smooth, the pillow fluffed. Her clothes are gone. Her jewelry still lies there. Police find bloodstains on the pillow and on the nightgown hidden in the closet. Linda has disappeared. Weeks later, March 1974, Donna Gail Manson, 19 years old, leaves her dorm. She wants to go to a concert. She never arrives. April, Susan Rancourt, 18. She disappears after a movie night on campus. May, Roberta Kathleen Parks, 22, gone. June, Brenda Ball, 22, disappears after visiting a bar. Police are facing a mystery. No bodies, no traces, no witnesses. But then, on July 14, 1974, in broad daylight, something happens that changes everything. Lake Sammamish State Park. A sunny Sunday. Hundreds of people enjoying the weather. Janice Ott, 23 years old, lies on her blanket sunbathing. A young man approaches her. Handsome, friendly. He's wearing his arm in a sling. "Excuse me," he says with a charming smile. "Could you help me? I need to get my sailboat from the car." But with this arm, Janice hesitates. But he seems so nice, so harmless. "Sure," she says. She goes with him. Several witnesses observe the scene. The man introduces himself. "I'm Ted," he says. For hours later, Denise Naslund, 19, disappears from the same park. Both women are never seen alive again. Finally, investigators have witnesses. Descriptions. A name, Ted. A vehicle, a tan VW Beetle. Police release a composite sketch. And Elizabeth Klopfer, Ted's girlfriend, freezes when she sees it. That's Ted. Her Ted. But that can't be. Ted is nice, loving. He takes care of her daughter. He works at a crisis hotline helping suicidal people. But there are these nights when he stays out, without explanation, and his VW Beetle, exactly like in the description. Elizabeth calls the police. Anonymously, she gives a tip. Investigators note the name Ted Bundy. But there are thousands of leads. Ted is one of many suspects. They focus on others. Fatal mistake. Because Ted continues. He moves to Utah. New state. New hunting grounds. October 1974. Nancy Wilcox, 16. Disappeared. November. Melissa Smith, 17. The daughter of a police chief. Her body is found days later. Raped. Strangled. December. Karen Campbell, 23. She leaves her hotel room in Colorado. Her body is found a month later in the snow. Ted develops a routine, a method. He fakes an injury, arm in a sling, crutches. He asks for help. The women trust him. Or he poses as a police officer, shows a fake badge. "Your car was broken into. Come with me. I'll show you." They follow him to his VW Beetle. There he strikes, a blow with a crowbar. They fall unconscious. He drives them to remote locations. What happens there is too gruesome to describe in detail, but he doesn't kill them immediately. Sometimes he keeps them captive for days, and after he's killed them, he returns to the corpses. Again and again, he applies makeup, styles their hair, he photographs them. Police in different states aren't working together yet. Nobody recognizes the pattern. Until August 1975, Ted is driving through a residential area in Utah. Late at night, slowly, a patrol officer notices him, waves him over. Ted hits the gas. A chase begins. Finally, Ted stops. The officer searches the car. What he finds makes his blood run cold. A ski mask, handcuffs, rope, crowbar, garbage bags, a murder kit. Ted is arrested, but he stays cool, charming. "This is all a misunderstanding," he says with a smile. Investigators start digging, and slowly the pieces come together. Carol Duranch, one of the few women who escaped, identifies Ted in a lineup. She was in a shopping center in November 1974. A man posed as a police officer, said her car had been broken into. She got in. He put handcuffs on her, tried to overpower her. She fought, jumped from the moving car, ran for her life. Now this man stands before her. Ted Bundy. "That's him," she says. Her voice trembles. Ted is charged with attempted kidnapping. He's placed in custody. But investigators know this is just the beginning. This man has done more, much more. They begin investigating in other states. Colorado, Washington, Oregon. Everywhere the same patterns. Missing women, VW Beetle, a charming man named Ted. The evidence accumulates. But Ted has a plan that will shock the entire nation. June 7, 1977, Aspen, Colorado, Pitkin County Courthouse. Ted Bundy is on trial for the murder of Karen Campbell. But he's decided to represent himself. Why? Because that gives him privileges. He's allowed to use the prison library, without handcuffs, without guards in the room. The judges consider this harmless. Ted is so nice, so educated. A law student. They have no idea what he's planning. Ted is on the second floor of the library, alone. He opens a window and jumps, in the middle of the day, in a small town where everyone knows everyone. He lands on the ground, twists his ankle, but he runs. Alarm bells ring. Officers storm out of the building. But Ted is gone. For 6 days he's on the run. He sleeps in forests, steals food, breaks into cabins. On June 13th, he's caught in a stolen car. Exhausted, half-starved, back to prison. But Ted has tasted blood. He knows now, escape is possible. December 30th, 1977. Garfield County Jail, Colorado. This time Ted is better prepared. He's been preparing for months. He's lost weight. Deliberately, he's become thin, very thin. In his cell, there's a gap in the ceiling, an opening to the ceiling panels. Ted waits until the guards make their rounds. Then he squeezes through the opening. He crawls through the ceiling, over the cells of other prisoners, to the living area of the prison guard. The guard isn't there. Ted climbs down, puts on civilian clothes he finds in the closet, and walks to the front door. Just like that, through the front door. Nobody stops him. By the time the guards discover the empty cell, Ted is long gone. He flees to Florida, Tallahassee, and there the horror begins anew. January 15th, 1978, 3 a.m., Chi Omega Sorority House, Florida State University. Ted breaks in. In his hand, an oak club. He goes from room to room. Margaret Bowman, 21. He bashes her skull in, strangles her with a nylon stocking. Lisa Levy, 20. In the next room, the same fate. Additionally, he bites her. On the breast, on the buttocks. Kathy Kleiner and Karen Chandler are severely injured but survive. The entire attack lasts less than 15 minutes. Ted disappears into the night. 3 weeks later, February 9th, 1978, Lake City, Florida. Kimberly Leach, 12 years old, a schoolgirl. She leaves her classroom to get something from her locker. Ted grabs her, drags her into his stolen van. Her body is found 8 weeks later in an abandoned pig barn, decomposed, barely identifiable, a 12-year-old child. But Ted makes a mistake. February 15th, 1978, Pensacola, Florida. Late at night, A police officer sees a VW Beetle. Stolen license plates. He stops the vehicle. Ted tries to flee. A scuffle ensues. But this time Ted loses. "You have no idea who you just arrested," he screams. The officer actually has no idea. Only hours later, when the fingerprints are checked, does it become clear. This is Ted Bundy, one of America's most wanted men. The interrogations begin. Ted is charming, cooperative. He smiles, makes jokes. "I don't understand what you're talking about," he says repeatedly, but the evidence is overwhelming. His teeth. A forensic expert compares them with the bite marks on Lisa Levy's body. Perfect match. Ted Bundy is charged in 3 cases. 2 murders in the Chi Omega house. The murder of Kimberly Leach. The trial becomes a media spectacle. And Ted? Ted enjoys every second of it. June 25, 1979. Miami, Florida. Courtroom. For the first time, a murder trial is broadcast live on television. Millions tune in. And at the center, Ted Bundy. He's defending himself. Again, he wears a suit, hair perfectly styled, smile charming. He cross-examines witnesses, argues legally, makes jokes with the judge. The cameras love him. Women in the courtroom giggle, send him love letters. Some wear t-shirts with his face. "Free Ted," they read. Imagine that. A man who murdered at least 30 women. And women find him attractive. That's the power of charm. The power of manipulation. But the evidence is too strong. The bite mark. The witness testimonies. The forensic evidence. July 23, 1979. The verdict. Guilty. On all counts. Judge Edward Cowart announces the sentence. Death by electric chair. Then he says something disturbing. "It's a tragedy for this court to see a young man like you, with so much potential, destroyed here. You could have been a good lawyer. I would have liked to work with you, but you chose a different path. Take care of yourself." Ted smiles. "Thank you, Your Honor," like 2 old friends saying goodbye. Ted spends the next 10 years on death row. He gives interviews, hundreds. He enjoys the attention. He describes his acts, without remorse, without emotion. "It was like an addiction," he says. "Pornography made me do it." Experts don't believe him. This is just another manipulation, a final attempt to get attention. In 1986, Ted marries in prison. Carol and Boone, a former colleague. She even has a child with him. How? That remains unclear to this day. But prison guards can be bribed. Carol believes in his innocence until the end, until she can no longer deny the truth. In 1986, she divorces him, disappears with their daughter. January 1989, the execution approaches. Ted tries to delay it. He offers to talk about more murders, about victims who were never found. It's a game, a final power play. Investigators listen. He confesses to murders in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Utah, Colorado. The number of victims rises. 30, maybe 35, maybe more. Some experts believe it could be over 100. But Ted never reveals all the details. Some victims are never found. Some families never get closure. January 24, 1989, 7:06 a.m. Ted Bundy is led into the execution chamber. Outside, people are cheering. Hundreds. "Burn, Bundy, burn." Inside, he's strapped to the electric chair. His last words? "I'd like to give my love to my family and friends. And to Jim and Fred, his lawyers. I want to say thank you." No apology. No regret for his victims. Typical Ted Bundy. Until the very end. 7:16 a.m. Ted Bundy is pronounced dead. The crowd cheers. But is this really the end of the story? No, because Ted Bundy left something behind. Something dangerous. He showed that evil doesn't always look the way we think. It doesn't wear a black cloak. It doesn't lurk in dark alleys. Sometimes it smiles at you, politely asks for help, looks like the nice guy next door. And that's exactly what makes it so deadly. To this day, FBI profilers study Ted Bundy's methods, his psychology, his manipulation techniques. They want to understand. How could he remain undetected for so long? The answer is simple and terrifying at the same time. Because we trust charm. Because we believe that evil people must look evil. Ted Bundy taught us. That's not true. The monster can look perfect. The story of Ted Bundy is more than just true crime. It's a warning. A warning that we can't always recognize who's truly dangerous. That charm can be a weapon. That intelligence doesn't equal morality. And that the greatest danger often comes from those we least suspect. If you want to learn more about cases like this, about the psychology behind the monsters who disguise themselves as humans, then subscribe to the channel now and hit the bell. Because the next case is even more disturbing. It's about a man who didn't just kill his victims, he ate them. But that's a story for another video. Tell me in the comments. Do you think Ted Bundy had more victims than he admitted? What theories do you have? And one final question that won't let me go. How many Ted Bundys are walking free today? Charming, intelligent, inconspicuous, while we all think we'd recognize evil when we see it. Think about that. Until the next case.